And welcome back, my fellow fiends, to Let's Play Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne. Last time, we completed the Labyrinth of Amala, and then decided to roll the clock back, as that is not the path we were going to be following. At least, not on this file. This time, we are actually going to get started on the final dungeon of the game. And I've mentioned this many times before, but it bears repeating. Remember, if you want the ending for completing the Labyrinth of Amala, then you absolutely have to do it right now. If you do not, even if you have unlocked the 5th Kalpa already, as soon as you enter the Tower of Haratsuchi proper, that will lock you into whatever ending path you are set on currently, and you cannot get the Lucifer ending. Now, it might seem appealing to head straight for that flashing entrance right at the front of the former location of the obelisk, but if you think to head around the back, you will find that there is an alternative entrance here. Now, this entrance does not take us to where we need to be, and the more astute viewers among you may notice that this is actually the entrance way back when, from the end of the obelisk, that we could access that would allow us to, well, not actually leave the building by jumping off and killing ourselves. The Demi-Fiend would refuse to do that, as he surely would not survive it. Okay, we've got some Decarabias here, but now that we can come here at this point, there is something that actually awaits us towards the end, and we're just going to auto-battle through this. There we go. It's the nice thing about a Deadly Fury. Very high chance of rolling an extra turn when you utilize it against multiple targets. Oh man, this is turning out to be a longer encounter than I expected. I should have edited it out. Oh well, this does remind me, I actually do need to make a slight lineup adjustment. We want to return Red Rider to the stock and bring Throne in, since we want to level him up as soon as possible. So well, before I forget, I want to make sure I have Kamado equipped. We're going to have a lot of nasty physical attacks thrown our way, plus some other things, but physical attacks are by far the most consistent threat in this game, so physical resistance, always the ideal way to go. Heading towards this elevator here, we get taken down to a section of the obelisk that we were not able to reach prior. Now, you may remember this as the hidden vault area, but we're actually one step below that on B4, and there is a pretty neat treasure awaiting us inside this area, if I can find it. Let me see. I forget exactly where it's located. Oh, it's right behind the spire. Inside here, we get the Chakra Elixir. This is an infinite use item, like the previous infinite use items that we have gotten at this point. I still haven't sold the Blessed Fan. Let me see, where is it? It cannot be used outside of battle, but it is an infinite use chakra drop that can be used in battle. So chakra drops at this point, no point in hanging on to them. You can just sell them. Obviously, they can be used outside of battle, but it is an infinite use item. However, like the Blessed Fan and the Spyglass, it can also be sold for 50,000, so I may end up just doing that with it instead and stick to chakra drops. Again, it's totally up to your preference. I don't really use it that often. Largely because at this stage of the game, I don't really find myself having MP problems too often, so I don't really feel like an infinite use restorative has that much value to me. And that aside, there are plenty of ways at this stage of the game to stay on top of your MP, like with a complete guarantee, or healing areas are just common enough that you really don't need to worry about it. Yeesh, dealing with constant harassment trying to get to where I'm going here. Anyway, now that we've gotten the Chakra Elixir, which may or may not just end up sold, it'll really depend on what my money situation is by the time I get to the next store we want to actually use. We can actually enter the obelisk proper, from the front entrance this time. And yeah, there's been quite a bit of layout change here. What do you got to say? Everyone? I'm going to assume he means all of the different factions vying for the full realization of, well, their reason. I feel like talking about this just has me saying a lot of redundant things more often than not. Such as, it's how it is. But this is where we got the Mystic Chest earlier. This, of course, is where we fought the Sisters of Fate. Or one step below that area at any rate. So we just have to wrap our way back around to get to the elevator that we took previously to get to said boss fight. And what do we find awaiting us after we ride the elevator cube up? Well, we find a shiny light. Riveting. Yes, we will ascend. And this is it, the point of absolute no return. Once we interact with the waypoint to the Tower of Haratsuchi, you are locked into your ending. So let's see what the Haratsuchi deems for us. We actually did not throw our hat in with any of the reasons. Yeah, take a good long look at it. What do you think? I think it's about as pristine as it can be for a demon. What do you mean? Seem to have not much of an opinion of us. You'd have a varying degree of opinion depending on what reason you've allied yourself with, or if you have entered into a formal demonic arrangement with Lucifer. He would actually be rather dissatisfied if you did that. Now, heading into the Tower of Haratsuchi here, you may notice that there seem to be several other elevator pathways. Now, each door that we end up in front of connects to a different faction. This door right in front of us kind of connects to our sort of neutral faction. I'm going to throw up a stoma just in case there's any chaff encounters. And inside here, we find a lot of mannequins. Even though they cannot fully commit to a reason or even form one, the mannequins don't have much else to do, so they are also climbing the tower. We can consider them I guess, a supporting voice for us. Now, the other doors... Hey, we got new enemies here. Cert makes his debut as a normal enemy, and he is pretty strong, same as the boss variant, very good with fire attacks, but not much else going for him, so he's not the most threatening thing in the world. Just use your best stuff, and obviously avoid using fire magic on him. We've dealt with legions before, they're nothing to worry about really, so we'll just bolt storm and call it a day. And yes, we are going to be running into a ton of new enemies here, some of which we will have seen in the 4th Kalpa, but some stuff is exclusive to the Tower of Haratsuchi. Now, going forward with my level ups, I'm just going to be investing in strength until I hit 24 so we can get the Gaia Magatama, and from there I'm not really sure what I want to do. I'm definitely not going to be boosting any stat beyond 30 for reasons that we'll get into once we've collected all the Magatama, but it remains to be seen how exactly I plan to build from here. Now here, we of course got angels singing the praises of Baal. This is the door that Yosuga has taken. Now, we can ascend to the top here and find an elevator that will lead us to where Yosuga entered the Tower of Haratsuchi from, but there isn't really much we can do with that, and we'll get to that, well, as soon as I reach it. Let's keep heading on in. And what do you got to say, Mr. Oni? This guy is a little irate that the angels have muscled in on his turf. Now, if you decide to check out the alternative entrances, you'll find that the doors are closed tight. This is because the leaders of the given reason for each area have already gone through and the doors just slam shut behind them. We don't support this reason, we can't go through it. We have to go through the mannequin door. However, at each one of these doors there is a mystical chest, and for once we're actually on a waxing Haratsuchi, so we can just take some quick steps to advance it and see what our reward is. And as soon as it hits full, we'll open it up. And we get an incense for our efforts, and yes, each reason door has an incense alongside it. Not surprisingly, Yosuga gives us a strength incense, putting us 1 point closer to getting the coveted Gaia Magatama. Gaia is not that good a Magatama. There's also a lesser treasure alongside these. Here we get a Soma Droplet, very nice. So, let's head on back and let's check out the other doors. Once you're done checking out a reason's, I guess, sort of entrance area, heading back out onto this balcony, we can find some cubes that will lead us back down to the ground floor, so we have quicker access to the other areas, and I went the wrong way, because of course I did. I gave a Cert a Soma Droplet there, and he gave me a 1000 Maka. Not a terrible trade, I guess, although it probably would have just been more in my interest to kill him for the experience. Anyway, We can figure out which door is ours because it's the only one that has an active elevator. Oh hey, another new enemy here. Here we've got Shadows. These guys can be a little annoying. As you can see, they like to use buffs. They also have access to elect magic, so be mindful of that. Not terribly threatening, but they are your standard physically resistant enemies, and unfortunately, they are weak to force attacks, which we do not have any force users in the party at the moment. Well, actually, no, I misspoke. We got Dante here. Of course, Whirlwind's kind of a junk attack, especially right now, though that will change at least a little bit in the future. Let's see. Puts us in a bit of an interesting spot here. I'm actually going to use Medir Rahan just to make sure we don't completely bottom out here. Use another Deadly Fury. Man, if only there was a way we could deal more damage to those physically resistant enemies with physical attacks. But, alas, it is a pipe dream, at least in this version of the game. Anyway, enough of my rambling. Let's get on to the other reason doors. Heading over to this one, let's see who we have in here. Looks like we've got Shijima here. There are a lot of NPCs you can talk here, but none of them really have that much interesting to say. It's mostly just a bunch of braggadocio about their reason, so we can ignore that for anybody who is off the beaten path. I don't really think it's worth seeing that dialogue, and I'm sure you would agree with me, given how we're already going to be spending quite a bit of time just wandering around here. It is nice that we are on a waxing Kagetsuchi once again. I mean, it wouldn't be much of a final dungeon if it was easy, so makes sense to me. Alright, so we've got another batch of chests here. In this cash cube, we get a bead, always appreciated, and another mystical chest awaits us here. So I'm just going to quickly advance the Kagetsuchi until we can open it. Hold on one second. Alright, the Kagetsuchi is at full. Let's see what we get rewarded for our effort. An agility incense. Very nice, since I'm not really going to be directly investing in agility anymore. I did kind of want to get it to 25, but it's not exactly critical that I do that. With that taken care of, we can now move on to the Misubi Door. Of course, I can figure that it is Misubi through process of elimination. Man, I just had a thought. Ah, right, I was going to say, if the game would so kindly stop interrupting me, you can run into Throne at this point, and you could recruit him if you want to. Though honestly, I'd say the novelty of getting him kind of wears off at this point, unless you're going for full compendium completion, because he's just going to take way too long to level up to evolution at this point. I will say this about the Chakra Elixir, it has a lot more going for it than the Chakra Elixir from Digital Devil Saga, since the amount that this heals actually does scale with your MP, rather than being a flat 50. By the time you could get the Chakra Elixir in Digital Devil Saga, you were well past the point where that kind of healing would be any use to you. It was just not good at all. Yeah, up yours too, buddy. Anyways, yes, we've got the fairly reticent and unhelpful people of Misubi behind this door. Also, I'd like to take time to point out that Dante has leveled up, and he has learned Stinger. Stinger is an almighty physical move that also has a pretty decent chance of inflicting instant death on anything that is not immune to that. Yeah, whatever. I guess he does have a point, though. If Isamu does succeed here, the changes of Misubi are going to kick in regardless of whether or not he's actually there to experience his formal ascension. Anyways, we get a float ball here, which is not helpful in the slightest, and we've got another mystical chest. So, un momento. Alright, once again, we are at full Kagetsuchi, and within this mystical chest, we get a Vitality Incense. It's decent. I would have honestly kind of preferred a Magic Incense, but it is what it is. I won't say no to 6 more hit points. And with that taken care of, that is all the... well, those are all the mystical chests that we can get. So, at this point, we can head on out, and we can ascend via the designated Demi-Fiend Door. So, let's make our way to that. Heading down on this cube here, back to the entrance, and let's get on with it. Heading over this way, we will enter our unaffiliated reason, shall we say, door, and we'll just blow past these mannequins here. We have heard all they have to say, and we can just get on with it. Like I said, there are more people and demons and spirits around here that you can talk to, but none of them have anything terribly interesting to say, so I'd recommend just getting on with it. If you really do want to be true completionist, see all the dialogue, then hey, go nuts. We're on a mission here, though. Entering the Tower of Haratsuchi proper. Now, starting us off with a good thing here, we've got a terminal right out of the way, right out of the gate, and as you can see, it is the Tower of Haratsuchi 1 terminal. So that implies that there are going to be multiple terminals for us to hit. And indeed, that would be the case. Of course, we have to go through quite a bit before we get to the next numbered terminal, so don't expect to see it within this video. There are also small terminals, thankfully, so we do have checkpoints throughout the area as we reach them. Heading up this way. Alright, do want to keep the rappel on. We do have some chaff encounters, like just groups of legions that I can block out with a stoma, save us a little bit of time here. Now, heading this way, this is a very straightforward floor. We're going to come across some moving cubes that we can use to get through the area. Some are elevators, some are just things that move us forward. Let's see, we do have a treasure coming up here, and I believe we want to take the westernmost door in this hallway. So we head through this door, we'll come across a cube that goes forward and stops right at this little midsection here, allowing us to get a Megidola rock that I will never use and probably won't even bother to sell, since it doesn't sell for great money either. Is what it is. Yeah, I find it a little inconvenient to sell absolutely everything you get that you can't use, especially since we've long since passed the point where they've been used for any appreciable amount of money. Now, heading through here. Hey, actually, at the end of that encounter, Throne has gotten his final level up. He has Debilitate now, which you can bet your sweet bippy we're going to get rid of one of these useless negotiation skills so that we can get that. And something is happening to him. Now, Throne actually evolves into... excuse me. A new demon class that we have not seen before. He is Uriel of the Seraph race. And Uriel, as you can see, he's got pretty solid stats across the board. Level 73 demon, pretty durable. Coming in with innate debilitate is certainly something that helps him. He does not learn too many amazing skills, though, so this is why it was pretty prudent that I got Fire Boost onto Throne before he filled out his skill list, so that I could have Uriel take advantage of some heavily boosted prominences, since he has a good magic stat for doing that. I don't know if I'll actually bother learning Heat Wave. It is a thoroughly outdated physical move at this point, and honestly, it wasn't very good to begin with. Alright, heading forward here, we just hit a dead end, naturally. So let's double back a bit. Did I take the wrong door? Yes, I did. It's okay, it happens. We got exciting news. We've got Uriel, so we've got a really cool, unique demon. Uriel himself feeds into getting a lot more special demons. You need him in order to get the remaining demons within the Seraph race. Of which, of course, there was Gabriel and Raphael that we saw in that boss fight, but also Michael is in this game, so something to think about if you're looking to expand your roster with super powerful demons. Michael himself contributes to another special fusion, that being Metatron, which we're probably not going to actually see the exact fusions, although I will tell you, you definitely need a guide for a lot of the special fusions in these games, because they require highly specific combinations that, quite frankly, I'm not sure how the heck you were supposed to figure them out. Some of them are pretty weird, and I can only imagine people found them through accident initially. We'll go over what those fusions are, but as far as actually seeing them perform directly, I don't know if I'm going to actually waste the resources to try and get the Maka for that. Alright, so for this room that we're in, we've got a bit of a unique bit of kind of elevator puzzle here. We want to ride this block up so that we can get up here. And let me see, I just want to ride this one down real quick to see what it does. No, this one just goes up. Well, actually, no, we do have to go down and get the other block up first before we do that. So, first, let's head back down and just re-reach the block that we started at. Obviously, we wanted to take the second block first, because that actually let us get back. If we took this one up first, we would not be able to make it back. Now, I better get my Estoma back on. Getting our Estoma on. Now, I almost made a serious tactical blunder in that fight and used Deadly Fury on a bunch of Gurs who were more than happy to avenge the Demi-Fiend into near death. I was super lucky that a third one didn't try to claw me to death, and also, Uriel kind of bought the farm in that encounter, got a very unlucky miss that resulted in them getting a decent number of provoke-boosted attacks off. Yeah, that's definitely the kind of situation where taunt and provoke can backfire on you if you just happen to miss. Alright, heading on down. We can use this stairway here to reach parts we were not able to before. By bringing those blocks up, we've opened up these lower areas, so now we can get access to the cash cube here. But of course, that is not the main thing that we are concerned about. Now we want to take the stairwell that we took earlier back up to the block that we rode up on. And we can ride that down and get underneath the block that we raised up before. You may notice that, you've probably noticed that I've been cutting out a lot of the encounters thus far, and that's because a lot of these things, at this point, are things that we've actually encountered in the Labyrinth of Amala already. Now let me see. We want to take the west stairs down here. Now let me see. Inside this door here is not any treasure, but we can find a spirit. Interesting. That might be something that we have to concern ourselves with when we get into certain rooms. Might have incomplete sections of floor to deal with, if you catch my drift. Also, actually do find myself in a situation where I might want to use one of these chakra drops. Getting low on MP, having to cast all these bolt storms. We will have opportunities to recover ourselves in due time, but not at the moment. Ooh, so lucky, so lucky. Made it to the mystical chest at just the right time. We can get a great chakra here. And that's, as far as I'm aware, that's the only one that we really want to check out. At this point, we can just go forward and get on with our business. After solving that little puzzle, we can take this elevator on up to the next area. There are stairs leading eastward that we can take, but they just lead to a useless NPC who doesn't really say anything of interest. And I don't really care to talk to him. No treasure for us. Now, heading here, we actually do have treasure to concern ourselves with. Let me see. Actually, I think we want to take the other one to start with, which is okay, because we got another mystical chest to open, so if I can burn some time on the Kagetsuchi before the inevitable video cut, that is a-okay, peachy keen with me. Heading up here, we've got a mystical chest, and of course, I've got Kagetsuchi to advance, so hold on one moment. Alright, let's see what our reward is for advancing the Kagetsuchi there. A chakra pot. Not bad. Well, actually, it's a little less than desirable at this stage of the game, but I won't say no to it either. Alright, let's continue our ascension. Heading over to the other block is, of course, the way we need to go. Actually, before I forget, I do need to restore my MP just a little bit. Had a bit of a scare during the off-screen running around. For some reason, my HDMI cable just stopped working with my capture device, but thankfully, with modern technology, that did not instigate an immediate end to my recording, and I had a chance to fix that and actually get it back online before I resumed the session. Now, heading up here, we will find a small terminal, and we can save our progress here, and while in real time this video's been running a bit long, I think with enough editing, I will actually have enough time left that what we're about to do will not send us too much over my preferred video length, which I tend to like to keep my videos to 30 minutes to a half hour, unless I'm recording something dumb like Splatoon, where I'm just there to have fun. So we're actually going to head on and take on a boss in this video, shocker. And there are quite a few bosses awaiting us within the Tower of Kagetsuchi, as is appropriate for a final dungeon, really. I mean, it would not be much of a final dungeon if we did not have a bevy of final challenges awaiting us in here. So, we're gonna head forward, and we want to take the western staircase, which will lead us to another block, which will lead us to the boss fight, so let's get on it. Alright, hopefully I don't get harassed by too many enemies trying to get to the boss. I would like to get this taken care of in relatively short order. Hey, there's a mannequin here. Now you may notice that there is a mystical chest off to the side there. We will get that in the next video. An incredibly sized demon that is big and red. I mean, I can only begin to speculate who that could be, but, oh, you know, why even bother speculating? Let's just head on in and see who we got here. Right through this big door is going to be our boss fight, and we want to make sure we're prepared for it. Dante is going to be chilling in the stock here. And let me see here. Let's just take a look at what our options are for demons. I definitely want to debilitate, so I just want to see how... Yeah, I haven't really been able to do much work on Black Frost. Actually, though, I think Kali would be a bit better, so we're gonna bring her in, and let's see what we've got for items here. I think I will just use a Great Chakra to restore us, and with that, let's head into the fight and see what we have here. We got a strong power beyond the door. Oh, naturally. Now, who awaits us beyond the oversized door? Well, he's got a bunch of tentacles. He's definitely a large boy. And is that a crescent-shaped outline I see? Well, hello there. Kind of like, I just kind of like the angular look of the lower half of Arimon's face. It just kind of looks like a beard. Oh, I dare to oppose Shijima here. Kind of reminds me of the Labyrinth post-End the World in SMT1. Your alignment isn't the same as my own, I must kill you. I forget the exact quote that those guys said, but it was very funny out of context. Okay. Seem awfully arrogant. Alright, so we actually have a gimmick to the first half of this boss fight. He is going to lay out a rule. Physical attacks are forbidden. Anybody in violation of this rule when his turn comes around will be killed. So, to start, we definitely want to avoid using physical attacks here. However, anything else is fair game, and we actually do want to get our physical attacks in order. So, first order of business is we're going to, of course, want to get our buffs and debuffs in place. I want to focus on getting 2 debilitates in place and then maxing out Tarukaja. Physical attacks are forbidden right now, but they won't be later. Also, we can just preemptively pop off a focus, have that ready for later. And it would be nice if we got some dodges here. Now, one thing to note about the bosses that we're going to be seeing going forward, many of them have Almighty-type basic attacks that are always accurate. You can never count on them to miss. So, yeah, don't rely on that. Also, I have to really do my best to remember when my turn comes around that physical attacks are forbidding. It would be really silly of me if I went to use Spiral Viper and just got the Demi-Fiend killed in the process there. And here comes Zandine, but with all the debilitates we've got in place, we can just dodge that, no problem. Let's start nailing him with the Magma Axes so that we can play with his rules here. We'll definitely want to get some healing up, but it would be better to have Kali do it since she cannot attack at this point. She does not have any magic at her disposal, so we will use Medea Rahan instead. I mean, physical or attacking magic. Alright, what's he got here? Items are forbidden? No, I don't use those anyway, so we can just go on our merry way as far as that is concerned. Yeah, you do more of that, my pal, my buddy, my friend, my guy. And we will nail him with Spiral Viper. Hey, ho, spicy. Very spicy. We'll definitely want to get our physical attack up here. But yeah, that is the power of physical attacks, and as we increase in our levels here, they will only become even more obscene from time comes on, even without focus. Look, double crit Deathbound, that's just the good stuff right there. Now, with all the damage we've done to him right here, he's probably going to advance to the next phase right now. He does have several other restrictions he can place on you. One of them, I know, is healing, and I think the other one he can place is everything but physical attacks are forbidden, but we did not give him a chance to do that. Now, something to note as he goes into his second phase, he does have access to Deikuja and Dekunda, and in fact, all the bosses we can expect to run into going forward do have access to at least one of those moves, but they typically do not lead with them, so we have plenty of chances to throw off some very powerful attacks before he removes our buffs and debuffs, and we have to worry about getting those back into place. So let me see, let's have him pass here, do a Deathbound here. No crit that time, but that's okay. I just wanted to be absolutely certain I was able to get another focus in, because again, the Deikuja or Dekunda could come in at any time. There is his physical attack. Here comes Megatron. I'm not overly concerned about that. The only thing that's really going to send me off course at this point is, of course, if he gets rid of our buffs and debuffs. That means we'll have to spend some time reapplying those to get the most out of what we're attempting to do here. Okay, no crit there. I do actually want to heal, though, so let's throw up the Medea Rahan. We'll have Kali pass, and it's just more effective to use the focus and then get a very powerful Spiral Viper at the next turn's offset, so that's what we're going to do. Oh yes, it is actually very ideal for him to use Megatron. That gives us a pretty high chance to have at least one of our characters dodge, which Uriel did for us. Thanks for that, Uriel. So we can just keep nailing him with Spiral Viper. I don't know if Ahriman has any, immunities. I've never looked too deep into what this guy's capabilities are, because he is pretty easy to kill. In that first phase, he'll never bother to purge buffs and debuffs, so you can very easily go into this phase, and he's very inconsistent about purging them, even if they are maxed out, so that allows us to dumpster him pretty quickly. Yeah, I've never had any trouble with this guy. The fights that come after him, they can be considerably more problematic. Hey, Mono Refill. Actually, I would not object to that. Be not the worst thing in the world to have that on somebody. But with Ahriman taken out, Hikawa gets to ruminate on how for the first time in his life he is just a complete and total failure, and we completely derailed his plans for a new world. And now he truly understands what absolute stillness is. And he's just given up completely. Alright. Now, for defeating him, Hikawa bestows upon us a stone. What is the stone? The Earth Stone. Now, this is important to note. Of the bosses located in the Tower of Haratsuchi, Ahriman is the only one directly in your path. Everyone after, you can actually just bypass them completely and not have to fight them at the first opportunity. And you can actually get to the end of this dungeon without fighting any of the major bosses. However, of course, there is going to be a point where we need the stones that the bosses bestow upon us for defeating them, and if we don't have them, well, we get to trundle on back to where they are and actually kill them. That said, though, only one of them is located in a kind of unusual spot, and funnily enough, it's a spot that's rather close to the end of the area, so it can actually be pretty easy to go past them and completely miss them and reach the end of the dungeon without having all the stones. But I, of course, know where we need to go in order to get all the stones. One thing I want to note about Dante is that he's very close to learning a very important skill that is something that actually makes him relatively competitive with other demons you could potentially have, and even more so in the HD remaster, which I'll be going over once we actually learn it. Heading up here, though, we head into the next major section of the Tower of Haratsuchi. Well, okay, we get to the block that takes us to the next major section of the Tower of Haratsuchi. Now, I mentioned earlier when we reached the first large terminal that we have several large terminals to go through. At the, not exactly entrance, but start of this next area, we will be able to find a large terminal. So let's actually go and search for that. Good idea to save our progress, be able to warp around. Also, we do have, oh, well, actually, we got a healing fountain here. That is handy, actually. We've been pretty dinged up, and we're low on MP from fighting Hikawa there. So let's just recover ourselves. That's a good chance to see my money, too. And yeah, we're not exactly where I'd like to be for money, so hopefully I can get some more as we progress through this dungeon. As we need quite a bit to afford that final Magatama. Now, which door has the large terminal behind it? once again, is not this one. I'm gonna go through every door until I find the one that actually has the terminal, aren't I? Oh well, we defeated Hikawa very, very quickly, and that's about as painless as the fight can go, which is very unusual for given how this LP typically goes. Oh man, it is seriously going to be the last door I check. This is always something you should look up before you commit to doing these parts on recording. Oh well. That's something I always remember using Dante, that one of the kind of amusing downsides of using him... Oh man, I can't remember where the stupid large terminal is. Oh dear. We're gonna be bumbling around until I find this thing. I could have sworn it was directly beyond one of the doors, but I guess that was just the healing fountain. Oh dear, oh goodness. I can't believe I'm making this mistake. Okay, maybe it was the other side. Oh jeez. It's like, I don't know exactly where it is, so it's not like I can just cut and say, oh well, here it is. Ugh. You know what I mean, I'm sure. It would just be kind of awkward to suddenly jump cut to where the large terminal is. Jeez, I can't believe I forgot where it is. Man, the game is determined to make me look as foolish as possible right now. I'm also having horrible luck with these encounters and just constantly getting into them. Oh man. This is suddenly turned into not my recording. Oh jeez. Also, I'm starting to remember, I think the large terminal is actually on the next floor, so we actually do have to explore and find the way up at this point. Man, I was even thinking I should just return to the previous one so I can just end the recording right then and there, but of course I have to do the dumb thing, because I'm dumb like that. But you know how it goes. I'm sure we've all committed to some silly things, even though there was no good reason to do so. Anyway, heading over this-a-way, I believe this is what we need to take up to get to where the large terminal is. Fingers crossed. I, of course, have been wrong several times in the span of the last 5 minutes, so of course take everything I say with a grain of salt. Ah, boy. One of these days, I'll get everything as close to correct as I can manage, and I am coming to the level up screen here because we get a very, very important skill for Dante, Sun's Oath. Sun's Oath is basically Omni Boost. It increases the damage of everything by 50%, which of course is, as the kids would say, really good. So I'm kind of thinking what I want to get rid of here, and after thinking about it for a bit, as much as I'd like to keep it as homage to the original Devil May Cry, thinking on it, Round Trip is going to be the least useful since the Demi-Fiends got all the elect damage I could ever need covered, and Whirlwind actually covers a niche that the rest of my party doesn't really have covered, that is multi-target force damage. So long, Round Trip. Now, in the HD version, Sun's Oath and the equivalent skill that Raido, if you are using him, has been buffed to also provide the Pierce attribute to the character that has it, so that their physical attacks deal full damage to everything. And of course, both Dante and Raido have an almighty physical attack, so they end up with an Omni attack that is effective against everything they could come across, and that is, as the kids would say, very, very good. But that is something that we will hopefully get to demonstrate within the next video when we are fighting less chaff that we have not seen before. This video has run for a lot longer than I intended for it to, because I am dumb. So, with that out of the way, as always, I hope you enjoyed watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Until then, goodbye.